Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Speakeasy. I'm your barkeeper, Jeff Belanger. Think of this as the other bar where everybody knows your name. And don't worry, it's never a cover charge. I don't card anybody. And this is the place where it's always okay to drink alone. Together. I'm glad you're here with us tonight. I'm glad we're connecting however we can connect. And speaking of connecting, please share right now so your other friends can jump in and join in the conversation, have some drinks with us. By all means, post where you're from, what you're drinking, say hello. You can ask questions. We'll do our best to get to some of them. I don't think we can get to all of them, but always appreciate you guys checking in with us. Okay, so since this whole quarantine lockdown thing hit, I've missed a lot of things, like hanging out with people, but we've got this. But I've missed going to the haunts. I've missed going to creepy buildings and abandoned asylums and old historic buildings that call out to me for all kinds of reasons. I really miss that. And though we're stuck inside right now, we can still live vicariously through our friends, through their stories, through their travels. So we got that. And that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to explore some of the haunts, have some drinks, have some laughs, and you're going to find out the secret connection I have to our guest from the days when she lived in the Playboy Mansion. I know, crazy, right? So please welcome from sunny California. You may know her as the girl next door, but it turns out she's also quite the ghost magnet. Please welcome Bridget Marquardt.
Hi, guys.
Yay!
We'll do our own clapping. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, so what are you drinking tonight, Bridget?
I am having a ghost teeny.
Ghostini.
Yes, ghostini. And I brought the ingredients so I can show you all how to make it.
Okay.
It is cake vodka,
Okay.
or you can use whipped vodka, just a sweet flavored vodka.
Yep.
And then vanilla vodka, another sweet. Where's the label? There it is.
Vodka with vodka, good.
Yes. And then you can also use white cocoa, white cream de cream de cocoa. That's what it's called, white cream de cocoa. Okay. But I didn't have that, and as we know, nothing's like that's. I can't just run out and get that right now. Right. And then the key ingredients: some almost melted vanilla ice cream.
Delicious.
Sorry about the mic hit. And then also to garnish, some peeps, ghost peeps, of course, must have.
Peeps. Wait, where did you get ghost peeps in April?
I know,
do you have
right?
A connection?
I do. It's called eBay.
Oh, fair enough. Wow.
Unopened. I got 6 unopened packages, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to save these for later." I actually used them for Christmas, but if you don't open the package, they're still totally good and fresh. And then you put that all in a shaker with some ice, and then voila, you have a ghostini.
That is epic. I love that.
I'm gonna try and drink it without spilling it, but I'm not very good with martini glasses.
Okay, good. Take a sip. Talk us through the flavor. What's happening right now as it mixes and swirls?
It is creamy and sweet. Then it just has like the hint of vanilla vodka at the end.
Aw, and look who's saying hi. Patty Negri, 2 of my favorite people.
Yay, Patty!
Yay, Patty! I've worked with Patty countless times on Ghost Adventures. You did a seance with her. We're going to talk about all that very soon. Yes. But first, I'm drinking. It's called a gin Ricky that I didn't make very well. It's just gin and club soda, but flavored club soda because I always go black cherry. However, I borrowed this cup from my daughter, and Bridget, check this out.
Oh, fancy.
So I've got that
going
for me. Thank you to my daughter for hooking me up with her cup. It's not distracting at all.
No. How old is your daughter?
She's 13, and I think I'm going to have a seizure. So I'm going to turn this off.
Well, I was just going to say they have different settings. You can slow it down. Yeah. Or just light it up. I have a couple of those myself. I'm 13 too.
And you're not drinking out of them? That's excellent. That's amazing. All right. So, can I start? I was just on your podcast, which of course is called Ghost Magnet. We'll be talking about all that. I was just on your podcast, and we did tell this story, but I wanted to tell my folks the story too, if I could.
Yeah.
I first sort of almost kind of barely met back in 2006.
Yeah.
Right. So you were on the Girls Next Door on the E! Channel,
and you were in my bedroom at the mansion.
I was in your bedroom at the mansion.
I'm just kidding.
Oh. Wait, no. I'm going to record this and save that soundbite forever. So a friend of mine calls and says, "Did you watch the Girls Next Door Halloween special?" And I said, "No, I didn't see it." And they said, "Well, you got to watch it." So I did. And then Bridget is talking about how she wants to be a paranormal investigator and the mansion's haunted. And suddenly she goes to the shelf and she goes, there's all the books. And she goes, Encyclopedia of Haunted Places. And that book comes off the shelf and I'm like, I'm in the Playboy Mansion. Like, you probably heard me in California from the other coast.
I did. I did.
So I emailed you after that and said, "Oh my God, that's so amazing. Send your address and I'll mail you some of my other books." And you did. And I did. And here we are.
Amazing.
I know. So it was, but that was super fun to see. And so if anyone thinks like you're like a Janie come lately to the paranormal, that was 6 and you were already interested.
I was
how far back does it go?
Way before then. I was interested in the paranormal since probably, let's see, in the 80s, really. So I was playing with the Ouija board when I was 12, and I had a paranormal experience. And ever since then, I've been interested in the paranormal, and I've been doing some sort of investigation, some form of investigating from that point on. So that was a lot of years ago, I hate to say, but
No, believe me, I think we're about the same age. So what was that paranormal experience as a kid?
So I used my babysitting money to buy a Ouija board, and I made my cousin play with me. She was a little bit younger than me, so probably like 10 or 11. And we at that age, you just really don't know anybody who's passed away. So the only person I knew was my great grandfather. So we were calling out to him on it, and supposedly we were talking to him. He was answering all our questions and stuff, but I was accusing her of moving it. She was accusing me of moving it. And finally we were just like, forget it. We're bored. You know, you're moving it. No, you're moving it. Right. Whatever kind of fight, bored, done, you know? And then, that's not a ghost in my background. That looks like my cat. Oh yeah. It's my cat.
What's the cat's name?
Yes, that one's Terry.
Oh, hi, Terry. Thanks for photobombing.
Yeah, there might be other photo bombs too. Winnie might be in the background. You never know. Yeah, totally. And so then after that, I started seeing my great grandfather, but it wasn't like this warm, cozy, like guardian angel type feeling. It was spooky. And it was scary, and it felt menacing, didn't feel right. So now in retrospect, looking back on it, I feel like we maybe did talk to something that day that was impersonating being my grandfather, but was not. But that was my first paranormal experience, and that got me interested. So then from then on, I was totally interested, and everywhere I went, I wanted to stay in a haunted hotel or go to the cemetery or this haunted place or that kind of stuff. So started way back.
I totally get it. No, I mean, I've been the same way. When I used to have a real job, I would travel for work and I would go seek out the haunts when I was wherever. I mean, I'd be in Paris and my colleagues are going to the Louvre and I'm like, I'm going to the catacombs. I'll catch up with you. Right. So like that's just how I rolled. I totally get it. So when you get into the Playboy Mansion, when do you get an inkling that it might be haunted?
Almost right away. It sort of just has that vibe. But then Hef told me the OG ghost story there about the original owners, the Letzes. It was Arthur Letz Jr. and his wife lived at the mansion. And supposedly Mrs. Letz either jumped or fell or was pushed, who knows, from the balcony to the marble floor and died in the house, and that her ghost haunts the mansion. So he was the first one to tell me there was a ghost story there. And so that was, and then all the staff have little stories, and some of the playmates have had stories and that kind of stuff. And there's something really creepy about the game room. It's definitely haunted out there. But one day I was sitting in my room and I was not alone. My sister was with me and my friend Stacy was with me. And it was the day I got my dog Wednesday, and we had her in like a little kind of gated off little pin at the end of the bed, and with all her stuff in there. And I had gone all the way to North Carolina, and I picked her up at the Atlanta airport on the way home. So we'd had a really long day. So we're just like chilling on the bed, having a glass of wine, watching TV, talking about how our trip went. And I, all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, in the doorway that goes into the closet bathroom area, I see a woman standing there. And I totally gasped. And I was like, Oh my God. And my sister and Stacy both saw it too, but nobody saw it full on. It was just out of the corner of the eye. And then when I turned to look, of course it's gone. And as it always is. And then my sister just immediately started crying and was like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't know what that was. And my friend Stacy was just like, I don't want to look. What was it? What was it? What was it? What was it? Tell me, but I don't want to look. And just like panicking. And I was like, no, I saw a woman standing there. And the woman I saw standing there was not vintage. You know how they always say, oh, they're dressed in historic clothes and that kind of thing. This person looked fairly modern. I feel like she was wearing dark jeans and a white t-shirt, and it all looked a little bit big on her and baggy. She had long black stringy hair and was very, very pale and looked almost sort of sickly. And I think it was this woman named Joni, who was one of Hef's social secretaries. And when I first came to test at the Playboy Mansion for Playboy a few years prior to me moving in, I met Joni, and Joni and I hit it off. We stayed up all night chit-chatting and talking about things and stuff. And when I came back a few years later and moved into the mansion, I found out that Joni had passed away of cancer. And I think it was her because she was very motherly and always at the mansion and always involved like with all the pets and concerned and that kind of stuff. And I think she just came to see the new dog at the mansion.
Aw, but the way you described her was kind of creepy.
Well, because I think she was sick. And I think that maybe, but here's the one little twist to that story. So when I talked to Mary about it, and Mary was, Hef's other social secretary that everyone knows from the show. Mary said, well, that's interesting that you say that it might be Joni, because everyone used to tell Joni that she looked like Mrs. Letts.
Oh, boy, that's interesting.
So who did I see?
Actually, I know, and you got to kind of investigate. I remember on that episode, and you had told me after you were sort of surprised that Hef let you guys go into that realm.
I was totally surprised because even though he thought the ghost story was fun and stuff, he was he kind of just sort of joked about my love for the paranormal and that kind of stuff. Although he was very he was still very supportive of it, but he just didn't seem like he would necessarily go for it, I felt like. But he did, and we had Barry Taft and Paul Clemens come to the house, and we did an investigation, and they found that I was the catalyst. Like, they put the meters around everybody, and it didn't do anything. They put it around me, and it was spiking, and they were freaking out about how much it was spiking. And we went in my room, and there was spiking going on in there. And I mean, I don't know. They didn't necessarily find concrete anything going on, but they were only there for a couple hours. It was literally for a scene for the the TV show, but at least we got to do it, Sure. And they also felt like the library was super
that's
haunted.
so cool. Like, it was right. No, I mean, I think it's cool that someone got to look. Now, I know the mansion, it's now a private home again, right? Someone bought it, and it's a private residence now. Is that correct?
Yeah. So good luck getting in there now.
Yeah. Have you heard any whispers about people saying it's haunted?
I keep asking because I know people who live there, and no, they're being very tight-lipped. But I have to imagine that Hef is definitely still there. I had a dream that he's still there.
So, okay, let's talk about Hef, because this past Halloween, you, Patty Negri, Holly, right? Like, you guys had a seance, to try to contact. This is on your YouTube, right? So, you had a seance to try to contact Hef. What happened that night?
We definitely made contact with some things, because we were using mostly the dowsing rods. We wanted to use the Ouija board, but I mean, I'm sure you've used a Ouija board before. It's very slow, and it was live YouTube. And so, sometimes it takes forever just to go from letter to letter. To spell one word might take, 15 minutes or something. So we knew we couldn't get away with using the Ouija board on live like that. So we were using mostly the dowsing rods. And I know people are very skeptical of dowsing rods, and for good reason. You should be skeptical of everything. But according to the dowsing rods, we definitely were getting contact with not only the person who haunts Holly's house, because her house is very haunted, but it seemed like Hef popped in to say hi.
Do you feel like there's still a connection there? Because to me, a ghost, like, one of the simplest definitions of a ghost is it's a connection, right? It's either a connection to a place, to a person, to both, right? And so I get dowsing rods. Some are going to believe, some are going to doubt. But what do you believe? Did you feel, I mean, because you know someone's energy, right? Like when you lose a loved one, grandma, grandpa, a friend, whatever, like you kind of know their energy. You kind of know how you feel around them. So like, did you feel something? Did you feel like he was there?
Well, to be totally honest with you, we had already had a seance in Holly's house prior to that one to contact Hef, and we contacted him, and I definitely felt like he was there.
Okay.
100%. The one that we did live on TV, he very well could have been there on that one as well, but it was sort of it's live and there's a lot going on and there's a lot of people in the room and stuff. So I didn't feel as close of a connection. But the one that we did prior to that, I definitely did. And he was answering questions that I felt like were the way he would have answered it. And the way Patty was describing what she could see is totally his like reaction that I would have expected from him. And and Patty also said that we were the first people to try and contact him on the other side. And sometimes it takes them, there's a learning curve on how to interact and how to how they harness that energy, how they collect your energy to like come forward and stuff. So she said the more we try and reach out to him, the better chance that we have of making contact and getting something meaningful. Well, but she's on here. She can tell us better.
Yeah, right. I know. I love to get Patty on one of these one night, but yeah, no, I get it. And I get there's like, I mean, because think about like a living person. There's friends in your life that you never ever hear from them. And so you don't make an effort either. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's with like regular phones and texting. So if someone's reaching out to you and making an effort, you start making an effort. So, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to switch gears in just a second and talk about some of these like awesome haunts that you've been to. But first, I got to ask you like a quarantine like fashion and hair question. I've been struggling. Yeah.
Oh my.
So I've been really struggling. Yeah, that's what's going on underneath all this gel. So do you just cut around the bowl? Is that how it works?
I would not do that.
Give yourself a haircut?
No, I would not do that.
No?
No.
All right. Well, fair enough.
Just throw it out. Maybe this will be over in a few weeks.
It's getting uncontrollable. Okay, you sent me some awesome pictures. And I want to talk about some of these places because I know them too. I've been to some of them.
Yay.
First of all, you sent me a ghost video from the Queen Mary. I've been to the Queen Mary like 8 times. This is like one of the most compelling ghost videos I've ever seen. So folks, strap your seatbelts in. Ready? Here it is. Let's see if we can get this going here. There it is. That's smoking gun stuff right there.
I know. See, I told you Queen Mary's haunted.
Clearly, like that's the proof, man. So,
and that's BDAC, and it's always haunted like that.
So my first time on the Queen Mary, well, I was there as a kid, but the first time I was there for like a ghost event, I had flown out from the East Coast, like super early flight. So you land at like noon in Long Beach. And so I'd been up since like 3 a.m. and we had events going on that night. So I get to my little tiny stateroom and I'm going to take a nap because I've got to be doing stuff that night. And I'm just at the point of falling asleep in the stateroom. And suddenly someone is in my room talking. And I mean, I'm alone, right? So like I go from almost asleep to vertical, like, whoa, what's going on? And then I realize it's someone talking at a totally normal volume in the next room. The walls are just that thin. So there's that, right? Like you're all of it. And so, but still, when you walk through that ship, it's like walking back into 1920 or 1930, you know?
It's so nostalgic. The second you step on board, you just feel like you've entered a time warp.
Yeah, no. And so, I mean, you live sort of close, so you've probably been there a bunch. What's the first time you went there for like something ghostly?
It's been a long time, but it was when I was still living back in Northern California. And like I said, every time I travel somewhere, we coming to LA, I have to say I'm the Queen Mary because it's haunted. And it was before I had any gear or anything like that. And of course, at midnight, I had to go exploring. That was my thing, go exploring in my pajamas kind of thing. And walking around, and we were walking down one of the corridors, and you know how long and narrow they are. Well, you just saw the video too, how long and narrow they are. Right. And we both heard this noise that kind of sounded like a ball hitting the floor behind us or hitting the wall behind us, you know, like one of those big grocery store kind of balls. And we both turned around and we saw something that looked like a little kid kind of disappeared through there's all these little shoot off corridors on it. So we thought, oh, they went down a little corridor. So we kind of went back, but it was just a wall there. There was nobody, there was no way. So I think I saw a little kid ghost.
No, it's so people, just to set it up historically, why would a cruise ship be haunted? So in World War II, they painted it gray, called it the Gray Ghost, and a ship that was meant to hold, I think, like 3,000 people had something like 10,000 people on it.
It was
like
a
troops.
lot.
It was, if you could see pictures on the Queen Mary where you had to take shifts 8 hours a day of just standing on deck doing nothing, right? I mean, and 8 hours in a bunk, 8 hours working. It was a troop ship to get people back and forth to Europe. And there's one of the most tragic stories is the Queen Mary would run a zigzag pattern to evade the German U-boats. Mm-hmm. And it had orders to never stop, no matter what. And it had a escort ship called the Sirocco, which was an armed escort to make sure the ship gets there safely. And through some mishap, the Sirocco gets in front of the Queen Mary, and the Queen Mary sliced this much smaller ship in half. And something like 120 men or something went down on the Sirocco. And the Queen Mary couldn't even stop to offer aid, because if you stop, you're a sitting duck and you lose thousands and thousands of troops. So, I mean, that place just oozes history. It's such an incredible ship. And when you go there and when you know a little bit about what happened, some of the things people describe is like the grind of metal and hearing screams and things like that. And you say, well, why would a cruise ship have it? And the reason is because it's seen battle, right? I mean, it's been in war. Right. And it's such a profound place for sure.
Yeah. I've had lots of what I call micro experiences on there, like just like a shadow thing, or we saw so we were walking down the hall one day and the shadow went by and went down on a corridor, and I was like, did you just see that? And my friend saw it too. And then another time I was on an actual ghost hunt, and there was we were in the pool area, like in a dressing closet thing, and I saw like a black shadow thing starting to form, and the lights just turn on and off on their own. We heard a cat meowing in our room, and there's like no way there was a cat, right. Just like weird little things like that. So
no, I get it. And then you go up to the observation bar and you're like, I'll have an old fashioned.
Like, I don't even know what that is, but I'll try it.
Yeah, right. One of those drinks you'd never have anywhere else, but you're like, I don't know, it feels like 1930. Give me a highball, right? Something
I know.
I wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, you feel like you want to be all dressed up too.
Oh yeah, it's a great place. It really is, and it's like I said, and it's not going to be there forever. Especially, did you get down in the engine room? Did you get to see some of the underbelly?
Oh yeah.
And you look up and you're like, this is like 100-year-old metal in salt water. It's just
don't remind me.
Physics. No, I know. You're like, ooh. This is not going to be here forever.
I don't know if they were able to fix it, but already they had to close off the pool area. They used to let tours go through there, at least like walk along the side of it. And they had to stop doing that because the floor is sloping in.
Yep. Get out there quick, because that thing's not going to be around.
And the pool area is one of my favorite places too.
Did you talk to Jackie, the ghost of the little girl in the pool?
Yes. And we actually shot there for the Girls Next Door one time, and we did like the haunted tour, and we got to go inside the pool. I mean, there's no water in it, but we got to like go down the ladder and like hang out in the bottom of the pool and take pictures and stuff.
It's eerie back there. And that was what, like second class swimming pool, right? That's not where
No, that was the first class swimming pool. The second class swimming pool was where the theater is now. They turned it into a theater.
Okay. Yeah.
But I also stayed in B340 a few times. Have you been in B340? Did you?
That was in the Ghost Hunters episode, right? That was the one where the door opened. Is that correct? If I remember.
The bed unmakes itself and stuff.
Did your bed unmake itself?
No.
That was a great story, Bridget.
No, but that's what happened on Ghost Hunters, supposedly. The bed unmade itself.
Right.
And they had live cameras on that room that you could log onto their website and watch that room 24/7. And nobody stayed in there.
When you stayed in there, did those camera views go like off the charts?
No, I hope those were off. I didn't check. I hope those were off.
Why is it $9.95 to watch the camera now? It wasn't that yesterday.
No, they didn't rent that room out for over 30 years because it was supposedly so haunted.
Right.
And now they've redone it and it's a beautiful suite and you can stay in there. But I did have fun scaring people that were walking by that thought no one was staying in there yet. So I was the first one to spend the night in there.
Yeah. No, I get it. You can't resist. Okay, let's head a little bit further north in California. This is one of my favorite haunts too. The Winchester Mystery House. Look at
Yes.
you. Uh,
Yes.
so that's probably closer to home for you, right? I mean, that's when did you first go there?
Oh, when I was a little kid, because yeah, I grew up in Northern California, so it was pretty close, and we'd go there for school things, and my aunt would take us there in the summertime and stuff, and I always loved it, and obviously I was always fascinated with ghosts and creepy stuff, and it has such a creepy history to it, whether you think it's haunted or not, and then more recently, I've gotten to do a couple of cool things there. One, I went to the Winchester movie premiere there.
Okay.
The premiere was actually at the theater across the street, but they had the party there and everything. Well, after the movie was over, they opened up the gates at 1 a.m. for just me and my friend. And I got to go in and do like just an investigation by myself with just a security guard and the PR guy.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was amazing. We didn't really get anything, I would say. We got some interesting words coming through that were kind of related to her somehow, but at the same time we didn't get like any profound evidence or anything like that. And then the second thing I got to do was just last year I got to go there and do their new tour that they have. They actually did a haunted tour, or like a spooky house thing inside the house this year, which was really fun.
So it occurred to me, I feel terrible. Like, for those who don't know about the Winchester Mystery House, this gigantic mansion was built by Sarah Winchester, who's the heir to the Winchester rifle fortune. So she was from the East Coast, New Haven, Connecticut. She goes to see a psychic who says, you're being haunted by all the people killed by the Winchester rifle. I mean, imagine the numbers, right? So she moves to California and she starts building this mansion. And there's no plan. It's just continuously built to always confuse the spirits. And so a lot of you may have seen this on various shows. We did it on Ghost Adventures. So it would be like stairways to nowhere and doors that open up to a wall. And builders would come in and say, what's the plan next? And she'd just draw something on a napkin and say, all right, go add an addition. So decades of like 3 shifts a day building on this mansion.
Well, supposedly she was getting advisement from the spirits. So she had her own seance room and she would conduct seances. I forget how often, every night or once a week or whatever. And they would advise her on what they wanted. And they told her that she needed to keep building on this house, or I don't know what, they would come and get her or something.
And so it's considered one of these great haunts, but the only death I think we really know of is Sarah Winchester, who died in the house, right? I mean, she's the one who died of old age in there.
Yeah. And then, there might have been a worker on the property, not in the house, but on the property.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah. There was another story too. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's definitely haunted by a guy named Clyde, I think his name is, who was a caretaker for a really long time. But yeah, Sarah Winchester died in her bedroom in the bed in there. But she was also trapped in that house during the 1906 earthquake, and she took that as a sign from the spirits that she was to stop on that wing of the house. So it was boarded up for the longest time, and she just started working on other areas.
It's someday, Bridget, I would like to find out what it's like to have that much money.
Oh, me too.
Just build all the time. It's cool.
Yeah. Almost round the clock too. They were always going.
Yeah. John Bashford wants to know, was the seance being held by the contractor's wife?
Probably. That would have been good. That's
yeah.
That'd have been smart.
Wouldn't that, like, if you're a contractor, that's the sweetest gig ever. Like, that's just
sure.
Endless gig. It's totally cool. Okay. So you got to be on a Fox show replacing Elvira, right? Like that was
well, no, I didn't replace Elvira.
No, but no, it was a contest, right? Like looking for the next Elvira.
Yeah. Who wants to be the next Elvira? I
do. I do. Bridget, I want to be the next Elvira.
Yeah.
So she's such an icon, and I love scary movies. I love horror movies. I can't help it, right? Like I kind of feel like it's tough to find a ghost person that doesn't also love like the horror genre. I mean,
Agreed.
Just like, we grew up on Scooby-Doo and we grew up on like scary movies. I know, right? Like we're living out our fantasies of childhood. So what is it about Elvira that calls to you? Why is it like sex appeal and like horror go hand in hand? What is up with that?
Well, does it usually? Because I feel like there's not a lot of, I guess it depends on how you look at it. But I feel like there's not a lot of sexy women that are shown in the paranormal or in the haunted realm kind of thing. Maybe more so in some of the scary movies, especially the cheesier scary
The
movies.
screamers,
But
right? Yeah, right. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
but I just think that there's something cool to be sexy and funny and confident and still love the horror genre and be a representative of it. I think that's amazing. I love all of that together. And what I told her, I got booted off the show for being too blonde, but I did make it to close to the end. But I didn't. A lot of girls actually looked really close, similar to what she looks like, and I just kept it true to me. And my excuse was, there's nobody that can replace Elvira.
totally.
So all you can do is be like the next best thing, or the next, if she wants to hand over the reins, you have to adopt your own personality and be your own thing, but it can be similar to what she's doing. But no one's going to replace her. So
Right.
that was my thing, but it was too blonde.
Too blonde.
Yeah.
That's the name of my memoir, by the way.
Is
Too
it?
Blonde.
Mine
No.
too.
It's not going to go anywhere, but no, I love it though. But she is such an iconic figure, and you see her, you know her immediately. You know you're about to see some sort of cheesy, scary movie, and she's like your guide through it.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned something earlier, like, yeah, it's funny. There's not a lot of like sexy people in the paranormal. Let me just throw that out there. Like guys, and I mean, whatever. To each their own. However, it's really interesting to me that the way the paranormal evolved on television, right, is you had ghost hunters first, and they're plumbers, they're everyday guys, and I know those great guys, like they're awesome, but they're like everyday people who on the side do paranormal investigation.
Right.
And while I know tons of people that do that, at the same time, like then suddenly they were held up as the experts, and then the TV was looking for like the next group of everyday people that do paranormal investigation on the side, and it's sort of evolved just from like these folks that are sort of like on the fringe, and that's where it's at, and it's interesting because I feel like it's sort of like stalled out, and I say this like, I mean, I've worked for Ghost Adventures for, my God, 12 years now. 12 years.
Yeah.
12
Wow.
years. And so wait, I'm sorry, I've got to put up a comment. Dave Schrader from the Holzer Files on Travel Channel.
Well, except there's a few exceptions.
Yeah, and Dave ain't one of them. I say that with love, Dave. I say that with love. So yeah, oh man, look, Dave's getting all kinds of, see, like there's Marvin saying Dave Schrader. So no, at the same time, there's room to spread it out and grow. And I think that it's an inclusive thing, right? So everybody has ghost experiences.
Well, do you think that people think it's kind of nerd culture?
Absolutely. I mean, partly, right? It doesn't have to be, though. So you mentioned before, like, we don't see the sexy in paranormal, and Dave can attest to this. I've been at so many paranormal events with Dave over the years where you go into like dark, creepy places like Waverly Hills Sanatorium, or like, Eastern State Penitentiary, or Ohio State Penitentiary, these abandoned dark haunts that are just, I love those places. And everybody's out there, and suddenly like, this dark group, but then someone always has a night vision camera. And Bridget, I can't tell you how many asses are getting grabbed. Like,
what?
Oh yeah, because I mean, people are all over each other. So you're back there with your night vision, and you just see butts getting grabbed back and forth from people that are like getting all turned on in this haunted, creepy building.
What?
It's real. Dave, jump in here. Dave, jump in. Say something. Yeah, you haven't been there with us in the trenches, Bridget. We've been there.
I've not. Well, maybe it's good that I'm a lone investigator.
No, it's great because it's really it's weird out there. It really is weird, but you should partake. I know we were talking before we went on. You were doing an event at Virginia City, which it's funny because Dave and I had an experience in Virginia City. We had gone to a wedding at like noon. Okay, here, Dave's jumping in. Fact. See, there it is. So
nice.
We were doing this. We went to a wedding at like noon, and we drank our faces off, and we had to investigate from like 8 to 4 a.m. And we're in what's the jail? There's like a little jail in town in Virginia. It's like 8 cells.
Oh, a jail. I don't remember the jail. I thought I'd been everywhere in that place.
It's small. It's only like 8 cells. There's an upstairs and a downstairs. Dave and I are in there all night. And then suddenly we're looking up on the top thing, and there's like this shadow moving back and forth between two of the cells. And I was like, Dave, are you seeing that? And he's like, yeah, but we were pretty drunk like 12 hours ago, and it's pretty late now. And so it's one of those things where you're like, man, that might be a ghost, but yeah, I don't trust me either, you know? And like, how do you trust, I don't know. Do you ever like not trust your senses when you're out there doing stuff?
Oh, I always second guess, but I'm not usually drunk though when I'm out there doing it. Well,
Listen,
sometimes. I mean, sometimes.
Don't you have a drink right there, right now?
I do.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm not usually drunk either, but it was a wedding. What was I supposed to do? Do you think I have superpowers to like resist an open bar? An open bar, Bridget. What am I supposed to do?
Whose wedding?
Some friends of ours who met at a paranormal event, kept going to paranormal events, and decided to get married at a paranormal event. So
that's fun. Where did they get married in there?
We got married. They were, I don't know, Dave, what was the name of the place? It was like just up, not in like the center of town, but like just up, there was like some little hall, and it was adorable. And there was like mimosas, and then shots, and then mixed drinks.
Nice.
And then we went and
then you went and did an investigation.
And I don't make a habit of it. I really don't. Just telling. All right, listen, we're going to change the subject because I don't want to hear about my shortcomings as an investigator. So you came to the East Coast. We talked about this on your podcast, which again is called Ghost Magnet with Bridget Marquardt. You can get it everywhere you get podcasts. You can get it at iTunes and Google and all those places. So check it out. And I'm on the latest episodes, so you can hear us just telling stories. And the funny thing, the most fun I had on your podcast was when I got to start asking you questions. So I was like,
thanks.
No. I mean, I know what I've done. Like, it was fun to talk to you. Like, I was there when I did my stuff. So you got to go to, you've been to Salem. There you are.
I did Salem.
And what did you think?
And it was freezing. It was actually the second time I did Salem. The first time it was totally fine weather, normal, whatever. I don't recall the weather even being an issue. But that time I was there, I mean, I look like I'm all cozy, but I am not. It was, I think, 17 degrees outside, and there was a wind, and I was absolutely freezing my butt off. I do not have clothes for that kind of weather. I was wearing Ugg boots, and I swear the snow was just coming right through the bottom of them. Like, it was just like not a good thing. But yeah, I've done a
little tougher up here, Bridget. You know, we can handle the cold. You California girls, you know. So, did you see?
I barely own a coat, so.
Well, what did you see when you were in Salem?
As much as I could. We were like the Witch Museum, the Witch's House, just all around town. We went and saw the stones with all the names on them. We walked all around town, and I love it there. Oh, we did the Seven Gables house and all kinds of stuff.
Yep, Seven Gables, and then right down the street from the haunted Hawthorne Hotel.
I've been to the Hawthorne Hotel too. That's so beautiful there. I want to spend the night. I don't think I spent the night. The first time I went there, which was a really long time ago, we may have spent one night there. But the second time we were staying in Boston, so we just drove there for the day.
I get it. Okay, so let's stay in Massachusetts for a minute because you went to one of my favorite haunts, but obviously it looks like you were dressed for different weather. The Lizzie Borden House in Fall River. There you are.
Yes. That was for my birthday. It was in September, so it was late September. So it was a nice, warm day, and we went to the Lizzie Borden house, and we did the tour, and it was awesome. But that's another place I really want to spend the night. Like, I need more than just like a tour through it. I need to do some investigating there.
Yeah, so I've spent the night. I've been there kind of like all hours, and it's one of the few places I've actually had an experience. I don't have a lot of experience, admit it. I'm not a ghost magnet. But I love these places. And so the first time I was there, we were doing this like live radio broadcast. There were 4 of us, and they were shut down for a couple of weeks because they were doing just some minor renovations, some painting and stuff. And so we had the keys for the night, and it's about 11:30 at night. I know. Well, I know the owner. Let me know if you ever come back. Like,
I will. You're the first person I'm calling.
So it was, we were down in the basement, and it was like maybe 11:30 at night, and we hear these scampering footsteps, just like from the side door into the kitchen. And we just look at each other like, oh no, like some kids from Fall River just broke in, and we're responsible for the house. Like, oh God, we got to call the cops, whatever. Race up those stairs. It's not 5 seconds between hearing the footsteps and being up in that hallway. And we look around and, oh man, like there's no one there. And then you check the door and it's locked, it's secure. And we all look at each other and we're like, okay, wait, this is a place where this happened. And suddenly you're like, huh. And then you start, I know it doesn't sound like something out of a Hollywood movie, but like to me, that's what counts, because like I'm the first one that wants to explain. If something like if some curtain's blowing, I'm like, okay, wait, did you just walk by it? Check the vents. Like, I'm not going to leap to the ghost conclusion, but I've been to that house so many times, Bridget, and I have never heard those footsteps again. And it's just one of those things where you're like, I can't explain it. And that's what I live for.
Well, they do have a cat.
They do. The cat. No, I know the cat. The cat was not there.
What's the cat's name? I forgot. Do you remember?
Oh, I remember the owner's name, Leanne. Leanne, what's the name of your cat? I don't remember. I'm so sorry. But did you see Leanne's license plate in the parking lot?
No.
You'd remember it.
I don't think she was there.
Whacked.
That's great.
I know. Yes. People love your martini glass. Look at that.
Yeah. Well, it's just a plain martini glass with my ghost peep on it.
But it doesn't light up.
It doesn't. Sorry.
No. I have to reload this thing. Okay, so let's go. Where should we go next? Where do you want to go next? You sent me more pictures. I have them all. Name one.
I want to go to Myrtle's plantation because I'm dying to know what your story is there.
Okay, Bridget, I have not been to the Myrtle's plantation, but I've researched it. I know. Hey, I can't get everywhere, but there you are.
There
but
I am.
I love those old plantations. Tell us, what drew you to the Myrtles in the first place?
I've always been fascinated by the Myrtles. I don't even know how I very first heard about it. Probably just like some TV show like on Travel Channel, like way, way, way back in the day that like talked about like the most haunted places or something.
Yeah.
But then I read the book on the Myrtles plantation, and they say it's supposed to be the most haunted house in the United States. I mean, a lot of people have variations on that title, so I don't know if it really is or not. But
I've been to a lot of most haunted houses in the United States. There's a bunch.
But I know, but I was very, very fascinated by it. I mean, it has a lot of history, from slavery history to two little girls were killed. There's Civil War history, all kinds of stuff. Even there was a couple that was living there, and somebody came knocking on the door, and the guy answered the door, and somebody shot him and then just rode off on a horse, and he went up the 17th step and died on the 17th step. There's like a mirror that supposedly has like blood streaks on it, and like a face appears in it, or you can like see the reflection of the stairs behind you. And sometimes there's like little kids on the stairs or shadows on the stairs and those kinds of things. So I always wanted to stay there. So I was hoping you had some good stories on the Myrtles plantation.
I'm sorry. I haven't been everywhere. So the mirror, that's the one right in the front hallway, right?
Yeah.
Is that you mirror. And your fella? Is that Nick?
Yeah, that's Nick. And
now
Nick
is go ahead.
What?
No, I said, is he into this stuff too?
That's what I was just gonna say too. So he is not as into it as I am. He's very, very much a skeptic. But he's a good sport, and he likes to come with me, and he's so we stayed up late, and I had him take the K2 meter, and he's like putting it next to the mirror and doing all this stuff. And then I was sitting on the 17th step with my voice recorder and another K2 meter, and I was asking questions and that kind of stuff. And we were just getting nothing. I mean, to the point where I thought my equipment wasn't even turned on or was drained of batteries or something. And finally, around 1:30 in the morning, we're just like, we're getting nothing. Let's just go to bed. I was so disappointed because it was my birthday. We were there, and I've done so much research for years and years on this place, and I just thought there's no way I'm going to go there and not get something happen. And even though I know better than that, I know you can't just go somewhere for a few hours and expect that something's going to happen, but I just thought for sure here. So we go to bed, and then all of a sudden we hear dun, 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 somebody running up the stairs, and you can't get to the stairs or that mirror unless you have the keys to our room. We're the only ones. Even the caretakers don't stay there at night. They just give you an emergency number to call if you have to. So we're like somebody's on the stairs. So I run out and I look out and nobody's out there. And then we started hearing squeaking outside our door. And I know exactly from investigating earlier, exactly where the squeaky floorboards are. And I was like, that's in the dormer window, like right outside our door. So I opened up that door, nothing there. And then it just felt like the room got so heavy and we could hear like what sounded like kids playing and furniture moving above us. And just, I mean, things just went crazy and it was 3 a.m. My EMF meter was just going nuts. And there was an electronic noise in our room that we couldn't figure out where it came from. It turns out later the next morning, I found out it was my voice recorder turned itself on. It was in my luggage. So we weren't anywhere near it. The K2 meter got left on the nightstand, and that's why it was going nuts. And yeah, I was hoping that the voice recorder recorded something, but it didn't.
Yeah,
it just turned on and made the noise.
What's in your ghost hunting kit? Like, what kind of? You've mentioned EMF meters. You mentioned audio recorders. Like, what do you bring? What's your kind of like go-to stuff?
I need more stuff and I need some new things because it's getting boring now. But so yeah, I have some EMF meters and I have the voice recorder and I have the newest thing I have is the FLIR camera that attaches to your phone. And that's pretty cool. I like using that. I know, I feel like it. But I mean, there's what?
Oh, the one that go on your phone?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Those actually are not totally out of the realm of affordability. Those are like doable. Yeah.
I think they're like a couple $100s. I got it for Christmas last year, I think.
Oh, that's so awesome.
I know the things I asked for Christmas and my birthday. I'm like, I need some REM pods. I need some. Whoops! I almost pulled my things out.
That's awesome. I love that. No, that's really cool. So you tend to go more like sort of the technical side. So not so much like dowsing rods and things like that. You want to be more like on the technical stuff?
I'm not hating on dowsing rods, but I don't love dowsing rods. I just feel like even though I've used them and I understand how it works and I understand how you're not touching them, or you're touching them, but I understand how you can leave them so lightly in your hands that you're not manipulating them. So you think, but I'm always worried that what if I am? What if I'm trying not to, but I really am manipulating them, and I just, even if I got stuff with those, I just don't feel like that's definitive enough for me. I need something more. I need like a direct response to a question on my recorder, or I need, REM pods to be going off when I ask it to get close to me or something like that, those kinds of things.
So all this kind of evolves into you starting your podcast, right? I mean, you're a paranormal person doing paranormal stuff. And I was looking through some of your past guests. I'm like, oh, I've worked with Robin Keats and I know like so-and-so. And like, yeah, like it's, I know like the people you're talking to, I totally get it. And how did that come about? How did you say like, this is what I want to do next, podcasting?
It's something I wanted to do way back at the mansion. In fact, I got this microphone when I was at the mansion because I was like, I'm going to do a podcast when I leave here. And then I just didn't really know how. I knew you could just do it from home, but I just don't feel like I'm that tech savvy. And I just wasn't sure really how I was going to like do all of it. And so I never did. And then I got approached by a friend who said, oh, have you ever thought about getting back into radio and stuff like that? I'm like, oh, I love doing radio, but I'd love to have my own podcast. And he's like, oh, I can set you up with somebody who can help you start it. And he did. And he helped me start it. And he set me up with my producers. And now Rob and Christine help me produce it and do all the technical stuff that I'm bad at. And I get to do what I love, which is researching and writing my show and talking to everybody and promoting it.
So you have a master's in communication, right? Master's degree?
I do. Yeah.
Am I wrong? Do I remember you have 2 masters?
No, I have a master's degree in communications. And then I was taking classes at UCLA Extension System for broadcast journalism.
Okay. So you only have 1 master's degree. One more than I do. That's it.
Oh, one more than you, maybe.
You're only ahead of me by 1. I'm right on your heels is all I'm saying.
All right. Well, I wanted to go for my PhD and get, I wanted to be Dr. Bridget.
Come on. I'm a universal life minister. Does that count for anything?
Of course.
I was like $25 online. I don't know.
So you can do weddings.
That's why I did it. So I was like, I want to marry that. Oh my God. Are you kidding? It's the best $25 I ever spent. For sure. No, I love it. And no, but the podcast is great. Like it was fun to be your guest and realize like, no. So the paranormal got so popular so fast. I mean, it's pop culture, right? It's not just, it was always there. People have been interested in the paranormal for like 150 years. That's
Right.
and I mean, we could trace through it from the spiritualist movement to Ouija boards in the 1890s to like, it's just, it ebbs and flows. In the 80s, it was all about UFOs, and there was In Search Of, and which was like one of my favorite shows ever with Leonard Nimoy. And I got to meet him at an Emmy Award thing.
Wow.
Like, it was, it's, I mean, yeah, I'm a nerd. I admit it. Like, so I loved Star Trek, but I was just like, In Search Of, right? I mean, that's my childhood right there. I mean, my dad and I used to watch In Search Of, and I've joked before that I go to some paranormal conferences, and I got to hang out with Travis Walton, the movie Fire in the Sky about the alien abduction.
Yeah.
So I'm calling my dad, and I'm like, Dad, I just had lunch with Travis Walton, right? He's like, you think it was Elvis, right? He's like, what? No way, right? Like that's the thing we bonded over, was like paranormal stuff. And
you know what? That's funny. I always tell Nick he should do a UFO podcast and stuff, because his dad was one of the original Mercury astronauts.
That's right. I saw that online. I mean, that's kind of amazing, right?
He's super into like UFOs and all that kind of stuff. So I said, you should totally do a podcast about that.
So wait, he's super into UFOs, but he's like, yeah, ghosts are stupid. Right? Is that what's going on? Like, yeah, okay, where's your little... Yeah, does he have a tinfoil hat? What's up, Nick? Like... Oh.
No, he's not ghosts are stupid. He wants to believe, and he wants something to happen. And he's had little things happen, like at the Stanley Hotel, something pulled his hair, and he can't explain that. So that definitely made him think otherwise. But he's more interested in, I should say, in UFOs and aliens and that kind of stuff. And did you see that the government just posted the video the other day of those unidentified things in the sky?
Oh, I'm on it, Bridget. I'm on it. Is this a quiz? Did I pass?
You did pass. I was just making sure you saw it, because that's that footage was already out there, but the Pentagon is just now releasing it, saying, "All right, yeah, okay, it exists." And I love how they're doing it during the middle of a pandemic when people are freaking out over everything else and not paying attention, right?
Yeah, we'll give you something to be scared of. Forget this little invisible germ. Here's aliens that can like come here from across the galaxy and
that are already here.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, coronavirus is nothing compared to like laser beams from a million miles away, right?
Of course, this is what's next. The aliens are coming.
I meant to ask you way earlier. So, okay, I was going to pop this up because I like to give you plugs and stuff. You can follow Bridget on Twitter at Bridget. Dude, were you like the third person on Twitter to get at Bridget? How did that happen? Like, this is the most paranormal thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, did they call you at the beginning? What's up with that?
I guess not that many people have the name Bridget.
Well, yes, they do. Yes, they do. How did you get that?
Maybe I know somebody. I know somebody.
Yes, you know somebody. Who was it? Like, did they just delete the other Bridgets? And they're like, yeah, here, it's yours.
It's yours.
There's a story there. Oh, my God. You're not telling it. I can tell. Wow, we're not going to get it, are we?
Well, it's not that interesting. So my handle, Bridget, was taken. My handle was Bunny Bridget, but I didn't want to be like Bunny Bridget forever. Like, I don't mind Bunny Bridget, but like, I don't need it to be my whole thing, you know? And I wanted at Bridget, and the person that had it was just squatting on it. And I did know somebody who knew somebody who told on that person that you can't squat on it. And we know somebody who actually has that name, and they kicked them off and gave it to me.
That, if you ever need to retire, I bet you could sell that. Like, that's got to be worth something.
I don't know. It's Twitter.
Yeah, I know. Twitter. It's funny, right? Like, so Bridget shows you drink. It's super cute. There it is with the peep. My God. I was telling Bridget before we started, Easter wasn't that long ago, and my daughter and I are like way into peeps. Like, that's our thing. And there's still a few left. So the good news is, like, I'm minutes away from having my own peep.
Nice.
So you go ahead and you can keep that one. It's totally cool.
Well, I've got a whole thing of them over here.
Quit showing off. God, I get it. You're like famous and in Hollywood, whatever. Like, the rest of us are here just with like Easter peeps. Like,
my peep connection was eBay, so.
No, I get it. I get it. And so we were saying too, so the Peep factory had to shut down because of coronavirus. And that made me run out when everybody was buying toilet paper. I was hoarding Peeps. I had like, yeah, I'm like, I had the grocery cart like full, like heaping with Peeps, and people are pushing by me with toilet paper. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. We'll
Toilet
see who
paper and
laughs last.
bleach.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll be fine. You'll be looking like a fool, whatever. All right.
Yep.
We have just a couple minutes left. Tree, you sent me this picture and I want to understand.
Okay, this is the Via Paula in Miami, and that's actually supposedly underneath all those banyan tree branches. There's like a grave underneath there. They think no one's opened it, but there's rumors that it's a grave of some sort. And so when I went to Miami, I went to the Villa Paula to do. It used to be the Cuban consulate, unofficial Cuban consulate, way back in the day, and there's tons and tons of ghost stories. I did a Ghost Magnet episode about it, and it was really interesting. And while we were in there, we had oh, you know the little coffin music box thing that goes off when something gets near it. So we had that set up in the haunted bathroom, and we had some we had it on the sink, and then we had another we had a REM pod that was on the bathtub, and then we were like way on the other side of the house doing the podcast, and all of a sudden all of the things just started going off in the bathroom. And we all looked at each other and we're like, we were in the middle of the podcast, but we're like, we have to pause it and go see what's going on. So we went in there, and obviously we didn't see anything, but we were getting really cool stuff going on with the voice recorders and with all the stuff going off. So that was fun. But I felt like it was very active in there.
I want to make another comment about paranormal bathrooms in just a second, but Suzette's got the comment of the night. Hot tamale Peeps. How did I miss that? Did you get those?
I didn't get them, no.
I didn't get those either. Suzette, if you got a connection.
Cinnamon ones? Yum.
No, I love hot tamales. Like, that's one of my
passions. So hot tamale and Peep, that is your jam.
Yeah. That's like, I mean, that's how like Reese's peanut butter cups were formed, right? Like you got your hot tamale in my Peep. And anyway, okay. So haunted bathrooms, for whatever reason, like this comes up again and again in haunts all over. It's always the damn bathroom. And I have a theory on this.
I have a theory too.
You want to go first or second?
No, you go first.
Okay. My theory is that we're vulnerable, right? Like bedrooms, we're vulnerable when we're asleep. Bathrooms, we're vulnerable. We're either like going potty or we're naked in the shower, and we're vulnerable. And that vulnerability raises our fear a little bit. Because when you're feeling vulnerable, you're a little bit afraid. And when you're afraid, your senses get sharpened because we're animals and we get into like fight or flight. And so my theory is that like we sense this stuff in bathrooms and bedrooms because those are like more vulnerable places. Whereas in the kitchen, you don't like you're okay. You're okay in the kitchen. You don't think twice about it. In the living room, you don't think twice about it. But the bathroom, you do. Go, your turn.
Well, I would have to disagree because, I mean, things were happening in the bathroom without us even being in there. And I've heard lots of people talk about stuff happening in the kitchen, like they'll be making dinner or whatever, and a knife will fly off the counter, or the paper towels will fly off the counter, or those kinds of things will happen. So even in the kitchen and everywhere. I was thinking the bathroom has a lot of paranormal stuff because of the water. Oh, somebody just posted. I was exactly what I was going to say. Water is a conductor of the energy. So I think it's all the water that's in there. I agree with Joanne.
Yeah. So, and then Brian, fart or flight. Yeah. Fun. Real mature, Brian. Real mature.
Flight, please.
Yeah. We have to pick one. God, show some class, people. It's not often, you know, but no, it's I get it. God, did we get to, you sent me other pictures too. I want to make sure we got everything. Oh wait, where was this? I like creepy, decrepit places.
Well, this place is that's the Eloise in Detroit. I met up with the Detroit paranormal team, and we went and investigated at the Eloise. Yeah. It's an old abandoned insane asylum, and it's crazy in there. Like, it was one of the coolest places I've been. It was amazing. And we also went to the 6th precinct too, the old police station that's totally haunted, and we got to walk through all the jail cells, and that was pretty cool too.
So abandoned asylums, I do know the Eloise. I have not been there. We looked into it for Ghost Adventures. I know. I got places to go. But there's something about them. I feel like you kind of tune in to what it must have been like to be there, right? Like when you go into one of those buildings, like you kind of feel like, oh my God, imagine like if I was here, if I had a loved one here, right? You sort of connect to that.
Well, and this one still has stuff in there, so it looks like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Like you can see where the TV room and all the chairs set up and everything. I mean, it's just really creepy in there.
Yeah, no, for sure.
My
God, Bridget.
It has good paranormal vibes.
Yeah, no, and I love those. I mean, I do. My favorite are always like the abandoned places. We've kind of run out of time. Jeez, this went fast. Let's put in plugs. So go check out Bridget's podcast, please. It's free. You can go get it like wherever you get podcasts. And the most recent episode, I'm on it. So like, you can't lose there. And there was that. And of course, you can follow her on Twitter where she's just at Bridget. How can you possibly forget that? Instead of like _ hashtag ghost / whatever, like you got Bridget, and then there's that Instagram and Facebook, and you can go find her there. And I follow her on all those places because I just do.
Yeah, and, fun. Thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you too. And there's my weekly podcast. You can check that out. And thank you guys for listening tonight. Of course, your bartender appreciates tips if you want. There's Venmo if you want to send a little something to your bartender tonight. This is what I've been doing to kind of keep busy and, be out there and connect. And I'm so grateful that people are watching this and people are connecting and people are feeling a little bit social, right? Like they got to have a drink with us. And that's super fun.
Sure.
And I got to have a drink with you. And I appreciate that, Bridget. It was fun.
It was really fun.
Yeah. So thank you guys. Thank you, Bridget. And please, everybody, stay safe. And until next time, take it easy.